In the heart of the Joseon dynasty, nestled amidst rolling hills and vibrant pottery kilns, lay a village renowned for its exquisite ceramics. Among its skilled artisans was Jin-woo, a young man with hands that seemed to coax beauty from the humblest clay. His creations, imbued with a unique artistry, were sought after even by the noble households, including that of Lord Park, the stern and powerful ruler of the region. Lord Park's manor, a sprawling complex of traditional Korean architecture, stood in stark contrast to the simple dwellings of the villagers. It was a place of opulence and strict hierarchy, where the whispers of courtly intrigue mingled with the clinking of jade and the rustle of silk. Within its walls lived Ha-rin, a maiden of ethereal beauty, forced into concubinage to save her indebted family. Her skin was as pale as porcelain, her lips as crimson as the finest cherry glaze. Though trapped in a gilded cage, her spirit yearned for the freedom of the open fields and the warmth of genuine affection. One sun-drenched afternoon, Ha-rin, accompanied by her attendants, ventured to the pottery village. The rhythmic thud of the potter's wheels and the earthy scent of the kilns filled the air. It was here, amidst the swirling clay and dancing flames, that her eyes met Jin-woo's. He stood before his wheel, his brow furrowed in concentration, his hands shaping a vessel with a grace that captivated her. Their gazes locked, and in that instant, a silent understanding bloomed between them, a spark of connection that transcended the rigid boundaries of their society. "The craftsmanship is truly remarkable," Ha-rin murmured, her voice like the gentle chime of wind bells. Jin-woo, startled by her presence, bowed low. "It is an honor to have you witness my humble work, my lady." Their conversations, initially hesitant, soon flowed with an ease that surprised them both. Ha-rin, drawn to Jin-woo's earnest nature and artistic soul, found herself confiding in him, sharing her dreams and frustrations. Jin-woo, in turn, was mesmerized by her beauty, her intelligence, and the quiet strength that lay beneath her delicate exterior. He began to create pieces inspired by her, delicate porcelain flowers that mirrored her grace, and sturdy bowls that reflected her resilience. Their secret meetings continued, stolen moments amidst the blooming azaleas and whispering willows. Their love blossomed, a fragile flower pushing through the cracks of a stone wall. They knew the risks, the dangers that lurked in the shadows of the manor, but their hearts, once awakened, could not be silenced. They would share poetry, verses filled with longing and hidden meanings, and exchange small tokens of affection, a carefully crafted hairpin, a delicately painted scroll. "Your eyes," Jin-woo whispered one evening, his fingers tracing the curve of her cheek, "hold the mysteries of the night sky." Ha-rin blushed, her heart pounding against her ribs. "And your hands," she replied, her voice barely audible, "hold the magic of creation." Their stolen moments were a refuge, a sanctuary from the harsh realities of their lives. Their shared touches were chaste but fervent. The stolen kisses were like sips of a forbidden wine, each one making their thirst more intense. The feelings grew until, at times, they felt as though their very bodies vibrated with an untamable desire. But their idyllic world was soon to be shattered. Within the manor's walls, another woman, Mei-hwa, a renowned courtesan who had captured Lord Park's fickle affections, harbored a venomous jealousy. Her beauty, though striking, was marred by a cruel and calculating nature. She saw Ha-rin as a threat, an obstacle to her own ambitions. Mei-hwa, with her sinuous grace and practiced charm, had bewitched Lord Park. Her words, laced with honeyed poison, dripped into his ear, planting seeds of suspicion and discord. She began her plot, weaving a web of deceit that would ensnare both Ha-rin and Jin-woo. Her goal was simple: to eliminate her rival and solidify her own position. Mei-hwa's schemes began subtly. She would accidentally drop hints about Ha-rin's supposed discontent, her longing for a life outside the manor. She would feign concern, her voice dripping with false sympathy, as she reported Ha-rin's melancholy to Lord Park. The Lord, already prone to suspicion and easily swayed by Mei-hwa's charms, began to watch Ha-rin more closely. Then, Meiwa discovered the secret meetings. One of her spies, a shadowy figure who blended seamlessly into the bustling village, reported seeing Ha-rin and Jin-woo together, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of the setting sun. The spy described their intimate gestures, their whispered words, their shared laughter, all twisted and distorted to paint a picture of illicit romance. Meiwa's eyes glittered with malicious glee. This was the opportunity she had been waiting for. She decided to enlist the help of Woo-mei, a cunning shaman known for her potent spells and her insatiable greed. Woo-mei, with her wrinkled face and piercing gaze, was a figure of both fear and fascination in the region. Her rituals, performed under the cloak of darkness, were whispered about in hushed tones. "I need your help." Woo-mei, Meiwa purred, her voice like silk over steel. "There is a pest that needs to be removed." Woo-mei, her eyes glinting with avarice, named her price, a hefty sum of gold and a promise of Lord Park's continued patronage. Meiwa readily agreed. The price was insignificant compared to the prize, the complete and utter ruin of Ha-rin. The shaman's first act was to subtly spread rumors of a curse afflicting the manor. Whispers of bad luck, of failing crops, and of unsettling dreams began to circulate among the servants. Woo-mei, under the guise of offering her services to dispel the curse, gained access to Ha-rin's chambers. There, under the pretense of performing a cleansing ritual, she secretly placed a cursed charm, a small, intricately carved wooden doll, imbued with dark magic. Slowly, Ha-rin began to fall ill. Her vibrant complexion faded, her bright eyes dulled, and her laughter, once so frequent, became a distant memory. She grew weak and listless, her body racked by mysterious pains. The court physicians, baffled by her ailment, could offer no cure. Lord Park, fueled by Meiwa's insinuations and his own growing paranoia, began to believe that Ha-rin was indeed cursed, or worse, that she was consorting with dark forces. Meiwa, feigning concern, suggested that Ha-rin's illness might be divine punishment for some hidden transgression. Meanwhile, Meiwa set her sights on Jin-woo. She knew that destroying him would be the final blow to Ha-rin's spirit. She fabricated a story of a stolen heirloom, a priceless jade ornament that had supposedly disappeared from Lord Park's collection. Meiwa, with the help of her spy, planted the ornament in Jin-woo's workshop, setting the stage for his downfall. Jin-woo, oblivious to the intricate web of deceit that was closing in around him, continued to work diligently, his heart heavy with worry for Ha-rin. He poured his anxieties into his art, creating a series of delicate porcelain birds, their wings outstretched as if yearning for freedom. He hoped to present them to Ha-rin, a symbol of his unwavering love and a promise of a brighter future. One evening, as Jin-woo was putting the finishing touches on his latest creation, Lord Park's guards stormed into his workshop. They ransacked the place, their rough hands overturning tables and shattering pottery. Jin-woo watched in horror as his precious creations were destroyed. His livelihood turned to dust. "Where is it?" the captain of the guard snarled, his face contorted with rage. "The jade ornament. Confess, thief." Jin-woo, bewildered and terrified, denied the accusation. He had never stolen anything in his life. But his pleas of innocence fell on deaf ears. The guards, following Meiwa's carefully laid plan, discovered the jade ornament hidden amongst his tools. The evidence was damning. Jin-woo was dragged before Lord Park, his hands bound, his heart filled with dread. Lord Park, his face a mask of cold fury, listened to the fabricated evidence. Meiwa, standing beside him, played the part of the concerned consort, her eyes wide with feigned shock and dismay. "This is a grave offense, Jin-woo," Lord Park declared, his voice resonating with authority. "Theft from the Lord's manor is punishable by severe measures." Ha-rin, summoned to witness the proceedings, watched in horror as Jin-woo was condemned. Her weakened state, exacerbated by the cursed charm, made it impossible for her to speak out in his defense. She could only offer a silent plea with her eyes, a desperate attempt to convey her love and her belief in his innocence. Jin-woo, seeing the anguish in Ha-rin's eyes, knew that he had to protect her, even if it meant sacrificing himself. He refused to implicate her, taking the full blame for the fabricated crime. "I acted alone," he declared. His voice firm despite his fear. Ha-rin had nothing to do with this. Lord Park, blinded by rage and Meiwa's manipulations, refused to believe him. He sentenced Jin-woo to be sold into slavery, a fate worse than death for many. He would be sent to work for Deoksu, a merchant known for his harsh treatment of his laborers. It was clear that this was not about justice, it was about crushing Jin-woo and, by extension, Ha-rin. The touch of their hands during his sentencing was agonizing. It was an unspoken agreement to endure all for the love of the other. As Jin-woo was being dragged away, Ha-rin collapsed, her frail body overwhelmed by grief and despair. Meiwa watched with a triumphant smirk, her victory seemingly complete. The cursed charm continued to weaken Ha-rin, draining her life force, ensuring that she would never be a threat again. But Meiwa had underestimated the strength of Jin-woo's spirit and the depth of his love for Ha-rin. Sold to Deoksu, the gruff but ultimately fair merchant. Jin-woo endured the backbreaking labor and the cruel conditions. He worked tirelessly, his hands, once accustomed to the delicate art of pottery, now calloused and scarred. But he never lost hope. He clung to the memory of Ha-rin's smile, her gentle touch, her unwavering belief in him. Deoksu, despite his rough exterior, recognized Jin-woo's innate talent and his unwavering work ethic. He saw beyond the label of slave and recognized the artisan's soul that still burned brightly within him. He began to give Jin-woo more responsibilities, allowing him to use his skills in the trade. Jin-woo, seizing the opportunity, proved himself to be not only a skilled craftsman but also a shrewd businessman. He learned the intricacies of the trade, negotiating deals, managing inventory, and building relationships with other merchants. He used his knowledge of pottery to his advantage, identifying valuable pieces and securing lucrative contracts. His artistic eye helped him select high-quality goods, and his honest nature earned him the trust of his clients. He began to subtly inquire about the situation at Lord Park's manor, gathering information about Ha-rin's condition and Meiwa's activities. He knew that he had to find a way to expose Meiwa's treachery and save Ha-rin from her clutches. He would use the skills he learned to rebuild his life and to save Ha-rin, to clear his name and reunite. He started sending messages to Ha-rin, small tokens and poems, to remind her of his love. They started a small and delicate correspondence, their love holding firm. Meanwhile, back at the manor, Meiwa's reign of cruelty continued. With Ha-rin weakened and Jin-woo gone, she consolidated her power, manipulating Lord Park and enriching herself at the expense of others. She flaunted her wealth, her lavish clothes and extravagant jewelry, a constant reminder of her ill-gotten gains. But Meiwa's ambition knew no bounds. She had tasted power, and she craved more. She began to dabble in more dangerous schemes, seeking to expand her influence beyond the manor. She partnered with Woolmei, the shaman, to produce counterfeit ceramics, aiming to flood the market with cheap imitations and undermine the legitimate artisans. This was where Meiwa made her fatal mistake. Her arrogance and greed blinded her to the dangers of her actions. She believed herself to be untouchable, her position secured by Lord Park's infatuation and her own cunning. Jin-woo, through his network of contacts in the merchant community, learned of the counterfeit ceramics. He recognized the inferior quality, the subtle flaws that betrayed their inauthenticity. He knew that this was Meiwa's doing, a desperate attempt to amass even more wealth. And he saw an opportunity to expose her. He began to gather evidence, meticulously documenting the differences between the genuine articles and the counterfeits. He collected samples, sought the opinions of expert potters, and traced the distribution network back to Meiwa and Woolmei. He worked tirelessly, driven by his love for Ha-rin and his burning desire for justice. With Deoksu's help, Jin-woo arranged a meeting with a group of influential merchants, including some who had been duped by Maewa's scheme. He presented his evidence, laying bare the intricate details of her deception. The merchants, outraged by her betrayal, agreed to support him. Jin-woo then sought an audience with a high-ranking official, a magistrate known for his integrity and his commitment to justice. He presented his case, detailing Maewa's crimes, her manipulation of Lord Park, and her involvement in the counterfeit ceramic trade. He also revealed the truth about Ha-rin's illness, attributing it to Woolmay's cursed charm. The magistrate, impressed by Jin-woo's thoroughness and moved by his unwavering determination, ordered an investigation. He dispatched his men to Lord Park's manor, where they uncovered further evidence of Maewa's treachery. They found the cursed charm in Ha-rin's chambers, confirming Jin-woo's suspicions. They also seized the counterfeit ceramics, providing irrefutable proof of Maewa's and Woolmay's illegal activities. The evidence was stacked. Maewa and Woolmay were arrested, their carefully constructed world crumbling around them. Lord Park, finally awakened from his infatuation, was devastated by Maewa's betrayal. He realized the extent of her cruelty and the injustice he had inflicted upon Jin-woo and Ha-rin. He ordered that all of Maewa's assets be seized and that Woolmay be banished from the region. The climax of the scene takes place in the courtyard. The two culprits are exposed and the truth comes to the forefront. Maewa's face was a mask of disbelief and rage. You can't do this to me," she shrieked, her voice cracking with desperation. "I am the Lord's favorite." But her pleas fell on deaf ears. The magistrate, unmoved by her protests, ordered that they be taken away. Woolmay, her eyes filled with malice, spat at Jin-woo's feet. "You may have won this battle," she hissed, "but you will never escape the curse of my magic." Jin-woo, however, remained unfazed. He had faced greater challenges, and he knew that the power of love and truth was stronger than any curse. The curse was removed from Ha-rin with the help of another, untainted shaman. She began her slow road to recovery, regaining her strength and vitality. Lord Park, humbled and remorseful, approached Jin-woo. "I have wronged you grievously," he admitted, his voice filled with shame. "I ask for your forgiveness." Jin-woo, though still harboring resentment, nodded curtly. He had no desire for revenge, only for justice and for the chance to rebuild his life with Ha-rin. "I forgive you," Jin-woo said, his voice steady. "But I can never forget what you have done." Lord Park, realizing the depth of his errors, offered Jin-woo compensation for his suffering in his wrongful imprisonment. He also revoked the order of Ha-rin's concubinage, granting her freedom. Jin-woo, with Deoksu's continued support, used the compensation to establish his own pottery workshop, a place where he could create his art freely and without fear. He quickly gained recognition for his exquisite designs and his impeccable craftsmanship. His creations became highly sought after, adorning the homes of nobles and commoners alike. He built a business that surpassed what he had before, reaching new heights of skill and fame. Ha-rin, now fully recovered, joined him at the workshop. She assisted him in his work, her artistic sensibilities complementing his own. Their shared passion for pottery and their unwavering love for each other became the foundation of their new life together. They worked side by side, their hands often touching, their eyes meeting in shared understanding and affection. The kiln's heat paled before the heat of their renewed love. One evening, as they stood together beneath the starlit sky, Jin-woo took Ha-rin's hand, his fingers intertwining with hers. "I told you," he whispered, his voice filled with emotion, "that your eyes hold the mysteries of the night sky. And now, I see a future brighter than any star." Ha-rin leaned her head against his shoulder, her heart overflowing with happiness. "And I," she replied, "see a love that will endure for all eternity." They married in a simple ceremony, surrounded by their friends and fellow artisans. Their love, forged in the crucible of adversity, had emerged stronger and more radiant than ever before. They continued to create beautiful pottery, each piece a testament to their resilience, their artistry, and their enduring love. The passion that had always burned quietly, had survived so many trials, could finally unleash. They enjoyed a sensual honeymoon, their bodies and souls entwined in a moment of pure bliss. This was a consummation of what they had wanted for so long. It was a long and passionate moment of intimacy. Their workshop became a haven, a place where creativity flourished and love blossomed. They lived a life filled with purpose, passion, and the quiet joy of shared creation. Their story became a legend, whispered among the villagers, a testament to the power of love, the triumph of good over evil, and the enduring beauty of the human spirit. Their names are etched in the rolls of history, the master potter and his love, a beacon of hope and artistry for generations to come. They lived out the rest of their days in peace, their love a flame that nothing could extinguish.